if you look at the title, even in my schedule of this month, Subverting the Predictability, I honestly think that this is the strongest title I can ever come up with, and it's the fact that this video is basically my complaints on one of my reviews of Across the Goals and Friendship is Magic all coming to one because let's just say that Generation 5, if it's going to be catered to adults, it should also avoid the mistakes of what Generation 4 had made. Now, before any of you do any counter argument in the comments section below, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I do respect people's opinions on what they feel in these episodes. Even if it's understandable and I can really respect that, my opinions, however, are way personal than you think. I'm just trying to be a bit nice, but at the same time, with this video, you're probably are going to have a lot more of a mixed feeling, considering that this is a Generation 5 video you did not see coming. First, let me just make one thing perfectly clear. Considering the fact that we are only going to get Generation 10 in the comics and not in TV form, it just really sums up onto why Hasbro really needs to figure out some other ways and put so much attention on Generation 5. Because, in my opinion, they really want to make Generation 5 a lot more serious, since that they say it's going to be more for adults and stuff like that. Especially the success that Generation 4 did for them. All I can say is that this decade will probably be the most unpredictable decade for My Little Pony, to be exact. And this is what I actually have the reasons onto why this video is called Subverting the Predictability. Oh, here it is. Okay. Now, here are my issues when it comes to some of the episodes in the later seasons. Even though that in the last episode, well, the last video involving Generation 5 is that the fact that the Community Casinos get enough episodes for them to complete the arc because of the amount of episodes, it's not always a good thing that the show has more episodes as the amount of 26. Because whenever they actually do an episode, they have to come up with some other way to make these plots work in order to actually continue the story. Now, it is really debatable whether you think about it, but for me personally, the more I think about it, the more it just aggravates me. Mainly the horseplay episode. Well, we actually see that Celestia is a really terrible actress. A really bad one at that. And the fact that Twilight held it off until towards the end of the episode, or middle of the episode. This is one of those things that actually becomes way more predictable, because the thing is, they do this holding the strain, and then towards the end they cut it, which is the breaking point. Which really gets really repetitive, because there's always has to be a forced angle moment no matter what. That's not really a subverting the predictability at all. Now, yes, I understand that Friendship is Magic isn't supposed to be taken seriously, and the fact that only the first episodes and the final episodes is where we actually get to see the villains do something interesting. But the thing is, even the villains went through the situation of not doing the subverting the predictability, because even though that this show actually did the subverting the predictability, they did it for the wrong reasons. And you probably know what I'm going to talk about, and that's Gaga and Discord. Yeah, I have never gotten over it, even to this day, and as of now, it's still difficult that this was a thing that happened at the end of this show. Listen, in order to subverting the predictability to work out, is that it shouldn't happen in the most wageful way that people didn't want it to happen, which was the last thane. And the last thane is having Discord being Gaga this whole time. And having the Legion of Doom being the main villains is just really unoriginality. because we never get to see what Gaga can do in what Friendship is Magic was about to do. This is one of those moments that actually made people dislike or despise Discord for what he's been portrayed to, and that really changed my opinions ever since I saw this episode. Listen to me. This is one of those moments that actually really aggravates me, and the fact that this happened at the end of the show is pretty much the only way that people will probably try to watch the final episode, because if it actually happened at the middle of the 9th season, yeah, that will probably turn off so many people and completely rejected the idea that Gaga was just nothing but a prop that can actually use for the final finale of the show. That's just one of those moments. Now, whether they do something interesting, it actually kind of works, but it's not really subverting the predictability. Because whenever you actually look at some of the characters going through these situations, it's really difficult to actually see them on how they had to learn the lessons the most predictable way. Ecclesia Girls, even if it's mostly on hiatus by the time of this recording, is one of those examples. Glossio, Wildflower, Juniper learn the same lesson what Skytwilight and Sunset have learned about using too much magic, which really isn't a good idea on using the same idea over and over again. They completely they didn't subvert the predictability in the Ecclesia Girls whatsoever, because they can't figure out a way to do something a lot more interesting. And the reason I say that is because I know full well that Friendship is Magic and Ecclesia Girls have the same writers. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but I know full well that in the shorts, the episodes, and the movies might have the similar writers in these situations that they do in these episodes. Well, not really do, but unintentionally do, is what I'm trying to say. My point is that subverting the predictability is supposed to be something that will probably get people's attentions on the media much more than just doing the most lousy way possible. It's pretty much the weakest point of what Friendship is Magic has. The fact that it's a kids show, they had to do some kind of cliche ideas or doing bad decisions in order to make the story continuing on in some other way. And I'm not going to go on with My Little Pony the movie because as far as I'm concerned, the moment where Twilight almost stole the paw in Sequestia from Queen Novel, it's just really difficult, and the off-screen thing that they keep doing is also another example on laziness. Now, here's something that can actually work on subverting the predictability in Generation 5. I don't think that subverting the predictability can work way earlier, since that Generation 5 is going to be new and stuff like that, and they need to build the ground up in order to make some of these ideas work. Because in order to have the subverting the predictability work, they have to do it either in the middle of the show or towards the end of the final episodes of the show. Because it's literally the only way to have people invested and have an audience grow on what they're going to have some kind of new theories and predictions on newer projects of Generation 5. That, in my opinion, will probably give Generation 5 its own thing and own style in order to make things work. Now, granted, we still don't know what they're going to do with Generation 5, and we still have a year and 3 months to get to before Generation 5 the movie comes out, but who knows. I really hope that they actually do something really infamous, well, in a good way, to actually make Generation 5 more memorable, because they had so many ideas for the final seasons with Generation 4, but considering that they didn't have enough time with the School of Friendship and the other ideas, they had to scrap them because they didn't have enough time. And the fact that they made a decision to not do a Season 10 at the earlier last year which is actually kind of disappointing if you ask me. If you really think about it, it's honestly really hard to actually look at some of the stuff that what Generation 4 could have been. And don't even get me started on the Spike Dad episode, because if you saw my review, despite how long it is, it was everything I wanted to get out in order to show how I actually feel in that episode, because that is one of the bad examples of subverting the predictability, because it's just done for the wrong reasons. It's like what Marlo said in his Star Wars The Last Jedi critique video. The story is taking paths that you didn't want it to. Which is mostly a defense of what the writers or people who are defending these episodes is, I can understand. But whenever it happens so many times, it becomes a really difficult task to actually, a difficult time to actually look at these episodes in a different perspective and give it a positive reception. Because as far as I'm concerned, it will probably affect the people who've completely waiting for so many months and years to see something, and when it ends up like this, it just makes it really difficult to actually enjoy Generation 4 as a whole. Now, it's just mainly people, for me at least. I'm just saying that some people have completely burned out because of the ideas that they've been doing, even in the earlier seasons. I know for a while that the later seasons aren't responsible with these ideals. I know that Friendship is Magic have done mistakes and they use fans in the earlier seasons. But at the same time, even for some other episodes that I found unique, like the Changeling, like Starlight team up with Trixie, Thorax, and Discord was a interesting idea for a season 6 finale, which is a great way for subverting the predictability, which was probably the only times I can actually say that for Generation 4. But as for everything else, it's always a nightmare that will probably never go away. And believe me, fan fiction isn't always the answer to everything. So that's basically all I have to say regarding of this video. I know there's a lot to discuss on what Generation 5 can actually do on subverting the predictability, but that's gonna have to happen at least after the first season or after the movie, at least, so we can actually give our opinions of what Generation 5 is going to be like. Because as far as I'm concerned, considering how The Last Jedi had ruined the fanbase of Star Wars, we can only hope that Generation 5 would never, ever went through the same route of what Rian Johnson did with Star Wars. Because trust me, I cannot get over it, and no matter how much we continue on with our lives, the nightmare of the falling of Star Wars will never get old. Because as far as I'm concerned, it was way huge, and I really want to make sure that that My Little Pony, especially in Generation 5, don't actually go through the same route. Because Lucasfilm was starting from scratch when they did the sequel trilogy, and the fact that they're going to start with scratch with Generation 5, they better not do the same mistakes that they did. Because as far as I'm concerned, there has to be a resolution and actually a great way to have this new generation continuing on in some of the way. Granted, it is going to be weird to actually see these subverting the predictability ideals work out, but who knows. I really hope that Generation 5 doesn't make the same mistakes that Generation 4 did. And even if it's my opinion only, we need to understand that Generation 5 is what's next for My Little Pony. Well, minus Pony Life, but that's a different story. And the fact that Equestria Girls, by the time of this recording, again, is still on hiatus, but I'm probably not going to be talking about Equestria Girls anytime soon because I still got nothing. But as for Generation 5, let's just hope and pray that Generation 5 will be its own thing and actually subverts everyone else's expectations for the right reasons.